Terry McLaurin wants $30 million a year, and honestly, he just might get it. But what does that mean for the Washington Commanders moving forward? And what does Deebo Samuel's offseason surge say about this offense's potential? We've got two huge wide receiver stories brewing in DC, and both could define the Commanders' 2025 season. Smash that like button if you bleed burgundy and gold, and subscribe to Commanders HQ, your home for real, passionate, and informed coverage of everything happening in Ashburn. Let's break it all down. It's the contract negotiation that has every Commanders fan holding their breath. Terry McLaurin versus the front office. The heartbeat of this team, the captain, the guy who stuck it out through dysfunction, instability, and flat-out losing seasons, now waiting somewhat impatiently for a deal that matches his value. Terry did not report to voluntary OTAs and then skipped mandatory minicamps, signaling that talks have hit a wall. And according to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, the two sides are not in a great place. On 106.7 The Fan, Breer didn't hold back. If you're Terry McLaurin, you look at it and you're saying, don't even come to me with anything that doesn't start with a 3 per year. That's right. $30 million per season. That's where the bar is set. And honestly, given the state of the wide receiver market, that might not be unreasonable. Let's put that number into perspective. Tyreek Hill, $30 million. A.J. Brown, $32 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown just got $28 million per year. Justin Jefferson reset the market at $35 million. So when McLaurin looks at that landscape, he sees himself right there with them, and rightfully so. Since entering the league in 2019, he's been the model of consistency. 4 straight years, 1,000 yards, team captain since year 2, playing with a carousel of QBs and still producing, never a distraction, and still only 29 years old. Yes, there's some risk in giving that much money to a player entering his age 30 season, but McLaurin is no ordinary player. His value goes far beyond the stat sheet. He's the cultural cornerstone Adam Peters inherited, and one he absolutely cannot afford to lose. Now, here's the good news. No one inside the building wants to trade McLaurin. Despite some ridiculous trade talk floating around online, all signs point to Adam Peters wanting to extend him. Peters isn't afraid of bold moves. He traded for Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel, remember? But even he knows that McLaurin is irreplaceable in this locker room. That said, Peters is also a calculated executive. He's going to protect the franchise's long-term flexibility. A deal could end up looking like 3 years, $90 million with $65 to $70 million guaranteed. That structure would reward Terry without handcuffing the team financially. Still, time is ticking, and if this standoff drags into training camp, that's when the tension could boil over. Now, let's shift to the other wide receiver storyline heating up, Deebo Samuel's resurgence. Dan Quinn was giddy when talking about Deebo in recent interviews. Somewhere along the way, I'd forgotten how fast he is. He ran by someone on a deep ball, and I thought, yeah, I forgot about that. That is not coach speak. That's a defensive-minded head coach, genuinely surprised by the explosiveness Samuel was showing in workouts. After a down year in 2024, 51 catches, 670 yards, and just 3 TDs, some were wondering if Deebo had lost a step. But based on what we're hearing from Ashburn, that narrative might be premature. If Deebo stays healthy, and yes, that's a big if considering his long injury history, he could return to a form that terrifies defenses, especially if he's lined up behind McLaurin in the pecking order. Let's zoom out and look at this 2025 offense. Jayden Daniels is the reigning Offensive Rookie of the Year. The offensive line just added Laramie Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowler. The team retained OC Cliff Kingsbury, who turned this unit into the NFL's 5th highest scoring offense last year. The wide receiver trio could feature McLaurin, Samuel, and Dotson, with rookie Luke McCaffrey lurking. If this all clicks, Washington isn't just looking to return to the NFC Championship game. They're building a unit capable of winning the whole thing. But here's the key. This doesn't work without Terry McLaurin. He's the wide receiver 1, the guy who takes the top cornerback every week, the leader Daniels looks to when the pressure's on. And if he's not there, that's a blow you don't easily recover from, even with Deebo's speed or Dotson's brickness. So what now? Adam Peters has a window between now and the start of training camp to get this done. Waiting too long could damage the relationship. McLaurin's made it clear. He's not showing up without a deal that reflects his worth. And honestly, Commanders fans should stand behind him. This is a guy who did everything the right way through some of the darkest years in franchise history. The rebuild doesn't feel real if he's not part of it. Albert Breer thinks they'll get it done. So do we. But make no mistake, this situation deserves urgency. The Washington Commanders aren't just getting buzz, they're getting respect. For the first time in over a decade, national analysts are placing Washington among the elite of the NFL. According to NFL Spin Zone, the Commanders land at number 4 in their latest projected end-of-season power rankings, behind only the Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions, and Baltimore Ravens. Even more impressive, they're ranked above the Philadelphia Eagles, last year's NFC East champions and Super Bowl champions. That's no small feat, and it's a powerful statement: Washington has arrived. There's a quirky but fascinating pattern in the NFC East. No team has won back-to-back division titles in over 20 years. Since 2004, the division crown has bounced around like a hot potato, defying dynasties and ensuring no team gets too comfortable. Last year, the Eagles wore that crown, and according to history, it's Washington's turn. But forget history for a second. Look at the roster. Look at the results. Look at the momentum. This isn't about luck. It's about legitimate contender status. The Commanders won 14 games in 2024, made it to the NFC Championship game, and retooled in the offseason with even more firepower. That's why they're not being treated as underdogs anymore. They're being seen as threats. Let's talk offense, because that's where things get scary for the rest of the NFL. Quarterback Jayden Daniels is already being mentioned in MVP conversations. Yes, you heard that right, MVP. Here's what Luis Catalia from NFL Spin Zone said. Jayden Daniels may also get some MVP votes, as he was excellent in 2024 and might only get better. And why not? In his rookie season, Daniels was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, one of the most dynamic dual-threat QBs in the league, poised, accurate, and electrifying under pressure. Now he enters year 2 with a Pro Bowl left tackle in Laramie Tunsil protecting his blindside, and a new weapon in Deebo Samuel Sr., and a scheme led by returning OC Cliff Kingsbury, who turned Washington into a top 5 scoring offense. But the biggest offensive domino still needs to fall, and it's a familiar one: Terry McLaurin. If the Commanders can lock up their all-pro wide receiver 1 and end his current holdout, this offense could legitimately be the best in the NFC. Daniels, McLaurin, Deebo, Dotson, Robinson Jr., and McCaffrey, that's not just depth, that's a nightmare matchup for defenses. While the offense grabs headlines, the defense is quietly rounding into championship form. The secondary, one of the top units in the NFL last year, remains intact, but with a key addition in rookie cornerback Trey Amos, who's already drawing praise for his length, instincts, and ball skills. Don't be surprised if he carves out a big role early. In the linebacker room, the veteran tandem of Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu bring leadership and intensity. Wagner is still a tackling machine, Louvu brings sideline-to-sideline speed and energy. That combo sets the tone. But where the Commanders made the most aggressive upgrades was in the trenches. 7 new defensive linemen were brought in during free agency, completely reshaping the depth chart and adding rotational firepower to Joe Witt Jr.'s scheme. The emphasis? Depth, versatility, relentless pursuit. Don't forget, Quinn and Witt Jr. know how to build elite defenses. They did it in Dallas, now they're stacking the pieces in Washington. Sometimes the biggest leap comes not from new additions, but from continuity. That's exactly what Washington gets in year 2 under Dan Quinn. This team already bought in during his first year, and the result was a 12-win regular season, a playoff run, and a cultural reset. Veterans raved about the energy, young players responded to the accountability, and for the first time in a long time, there was belief in the building. Now that culture has time to solidify. The schemes are set, the coaches are trusted, the locker room is aligned. That's a dangerous combination for a team that was already knocking on the door of a Super Bowl. So, sure, it's nice to see the Commanders getting national love. The number 4 power ranking is validation. It's a signal that Washington is no longer flying under the radar. But you know what's even better? They're not satisfied. This team isn't chasing rankings, they're chasing rings. The bar isn't make the playoffs, it's win the division, win the conference, win the Super Bowl. And here's the best part, they actually have the pieces to do it. If Daniels takes the next step, if McLaurin returns and stays dominant, if Deebo stays healthy and plays like 2021 Deebo, if this defense clicks, there's no ceiling. So now we turn it to you, Commanders Nation. Should the Commanders pay Terry McLaurin $30 million per year? Can Deebo Samuel bounce back and dominate in 2025? Who's your wide receiver 1 if McLaurin were to hold out longer than expected? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're riding with this offense and believe we're this close to a Super Bowl run, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to Commanders HQ for daily news, rumors, and analysis of everything happening in Ashburn. McLaurin deserves his money, Deebo might just be back, and the Commanders, they're just getting started. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.